When I turned on the after party, I was hoping, desperately hoping, searching, wanting, yearning, if you will, for Emem to give us some type of clarity. I was hoping that she was like, you know what? I've known this guy since middle school, y'all. We He was one of my best friends. We dated in middle school. I remember he gave me a Valentine, something. I thought she would give us something to not have us looking at her crazy, but she didn't. She didn't. What's up, everybody? Welcome and welcome back to the channel. I'm Tammy. This is Tammy Talks. We're here to talk Married at First Sight, Season 18, Episode 18. We're going to talk the after party, though. So before we get started, y'all, do me a favor. If you've been here all season, if you have been here for a couple years, if this is your first time, this is your first video, and you enjoy it, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, thumbs up the video. I'm super duper close to 35,000 subscribers. We are less than 1,000 subs away. So do me a favor, y'all. Subscribe to the channel, thumbs up the video, leave your comments down below. Let's talk about this because let's talk about this. All right. So the episode this week, the first part, we got a two-parter. So the first part is Michelle, Juan, and Keisha's husband, Brad. Okay. So there are there, and Brad thinks, bless his heart, Brad thinks that this season in particular, okay, that these people came into the process more relationship intelligent. Brad, are you not watching the show with Keisha? Brad, you not watching the episode every week? Because nothing about Michelle, Ikechi, Juan, David, or Madison gave that they are relationship intelligent. Okay. It gave intelligent adjacent is what it gave, but that's fine. So we find out that the drink of the week is the Let Bygones Be Bourbon. It once again did not sound good to me, but hey, I don't have to drink it, okay? So the first clip that we see is Madison versus Michelle when they were at Juan's little fun house. So Keisha's like, look, I don't understand Madison's venom and her animosity, her and David's animosity towards Michelle. And Keisha's like, did we miss something? I'm with Keisha. What did we miss? Because there has to be a reason that Madison is coming at Michelle like that, right? And Michelle is like, no, I don't know what happened either. She said, I don't understand it. But when I came in to the party, something told me that there was going to be a conversation, a blow up, or whatever the case. She said, but I embodied Michelle Obama. You know, when they go low, we stay high. I said, Michelle, I'm gonna let you have it. I'm gonna let you have it. So Brad is like, look, Michelle, did you feel a violation of like your circle of trust when it came to Madison? Michelle said, absolutely, because me and Madison, we became cool. We got close on the honeymoon, and I began to confide in Madison. And the fact that Madison was lying to her was hurtful. But see, I've been telling people this. I've been saying this because people keep saying, well, they're not friends, these aren't real marriages, it's whatever. Michelle's issue, I don't even think it's so much that David stepped out on her. If David would have stepped out on her with anybody else, it would have been fine. It's more or less the fact that David not only stepped out, but he lied about it. And he did it with somebody that Michelle considered a friend. When these people come onto these shows, every season they form a bond. They form a bond. So what it's saying is, look, if I'm supposed to be rolling with you, right? I'm rolling with you. We're friends. We're going through this unique experience together. The fact that you feel like it's okay for you to be looking at my husband in a way that you would even get close to him, that's a violation, right? That's girl code. But let this be a lesson though, Michelle. We have heard from ages and ages. Your mama didn't tell you. You never tell your girlfriends about your husband, about your boyfriend, whether overly negative or overly positive. Because one, if you're complaining about your boyfriend all the time, your girlfriend might be eyeing your dude. And if she's eyeing your guy, she's going to fit herself into a position that you're not fulfilling for him. Two, you just never talk about how good your guy is in general, not overly, because again, then it creates a jealousy or this type of situation where, she might try to take your dude. Salt and Pepper said, I take your man. Okay. That's what was happening. So whenever people are like, why does Michelle care? Why does Michelle care? Michelle cares because Madison sat up in her face and played in her face, right? If Michelle said that over if we got cool over the honeymoon, then that means Madison has been playing in her face for a while. I don't think that's cool. I don't. No matter how we feel about Michelle, no matter what Michelle did the first 3 episodes, David, that does not X out. It doesn't X out what David ultimately did to her. It just doesn't, right? So Juan said, look, seeing the clip of them leaving, remember Madison and what's his name? Control. So when Madison and Control were leaving, the way that they was like, yeah, I wanted to do that and blah, 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 all that type of unnecessary conversation, Juan was like, that's lame. That's foul because it's unnecessary and it's childish, which it is. We all said that. I have yet to see a person's recap and they're like, yeah, they was on one. I feel like the people that are celebrating this infidelity relationship, I feel, and it's just me, but I feel like you are a person that in your life you have cheated and you're projecting. Right? If they got together, they got together, but I'm not going to applaud them or anything of the sort. So Juan is like, look, I wish them nothing but the best, but one thing that they're going to have to really worry about in overcoming their relationship is trust. Because how can you trust each other when this is how y'all got together? And I've been saying that as well. How are y'all going to have a solid relationship that's built upon trust, that's built upon honesty when y'all got together by being sneaky and dishonest? Like, think about that. Because think about all the conversations that we've seen of Madison and David have. We got a lot of them last episode. A lot of their conversations are built upon. Be honest with me though, but be honest with me. Be honest with me because I just be honest with me. That's what a lot of their conversations are. And it's interesting how they want that from each other when they built their relationship off of deceit. So Brad then said, look, Madison felt threatened, he thinks. Madison felt threatened by Michelle's presence, and that's why she was kind of letting David know, I'll fight for this relationship. You ain't got to do it, babe. I got you. And that's just okay. So the second clip we see is Juan and Carla moving out. So he was asking Carla, like, are we gonna still be friends? Whatever the case. Juan said, look, I love Carla and I think she's a great human being. And I want her to be a part of my life. Because we went through this unique situation together and I want to preserve this friendship. So that's kind of where Juan was at with it. Keisha was like, Ron goes on, he said, look, I think eventually that Carla is going to come around and she's going to, do some self reflection and we'll be good. We'll be friends. Now, I was with Keisha, not too much on Carla. Ron, you need to do some self reflection too. And Keisha clocks him and it's like, because it seems like you have a little bit of regret. And Brad was like, yeah, it's kind of giving a little bit of, ooh, I wish that, I could have took her on the bed or did whatever the case. And I said that too. I think Juan does have a little bit of regret. I don't think in terms of him wishing that he would have stayed with Carla, but I do think that the way that Juan handled it, the way that Juan was not open fully to the process, I do think he has some regrets in that respect. So Juan was saying no regrets. He said we just have foundational differences that were just not going to work. And if that's how Juan feels about it, that's cool, but I also feel like Juan could have been a little bit more honest with Carla about it instead of trying to make Carla try and try and try, and she's doing all this extra and really not getting anything back in return. So he said that he could not envision a life with Carla as his wife. And if you can't envision a life with Carla as your wife, she's not meant to be your wife. So kudos to Juan for at least having that little bit of introspection. So Michelle said that watching the show back was crazy because she didn't look like herself, she didn't feel like herself, and now that she has got the old ball and chain off of her, she feels better. She feels like there's a weight that's been lifted off of her and she can finally breathe. Michelle, I hope you do some introspection as well. Because as much as I'm giving it to David and I'm giving it to Madison, I haven't forgotten how Michelle behaved, how kind of rigid and closed off Michelle was as well. So, Michelle, you got to do some introspection too, sis. You got to do some self reflection. I do not for any reason believe, I personally don't believe that anything that Michelle did warrants David stepping outside of their marriage because it is a real marriage, but Michelle does have to take some accountability for how she did treat him. And we haven't seen Michelle really, really do that. She took some accountability a little bit later, but she didn't take, I think, as much as she should have. Maybe she will on the reunion, who knows? Okay. So we then talk about Emem. Okay. They were like, Keisha was like, how'd y'all feel about seeing Emem get engaged? Now, Michelle said, I don't understand the engagement. And I don't either, Michelle. I don't either. She says she doesn't understand why it needs to be so fast. Okay. She doesn't understand the rush. And she said, as her friend, that it is alarming to her. Juan said it doesn't make sense. But, I have just got out of a marriage. So to Juan, he's like, it doesn't make sense to me. But MM and Nikeshi's relationship has been over. No, 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 no. And I said this in my last recap. MM was fully invested in that marriage up until the couples retreat. Up until the couples retreat, which is 1 week removed from decision day, which is 2 weeks removed from when she got engaged. No, MM was very, very much in that marriage. Now, while Ikechi didn't care about being married, Emem did. So I'm like, to me, that's cap. This is a rebound situation. Whether it works out for her or not, I wish everybody the best. But this is a rebound situation, and you never marry the rebound. You never marry the rebound, okay? So Keisha then said, look, Emem has some time to mourn her marriage with Ikechi. And I'm like, no, she didn't. No, she didn't. It's clear she didn't because MM was still trying to take little shots and clear things up and still trying to get closure at Thomas's birthday party, which again was what 2 days, or excuse me, 2 weeks removed from decision day. MM hasn't mourned that relationship. You can tell by the way MM got all choked up and stuff later in this episode when talking about her marriage with Ikechi, that she is not fully mourned and healed from that situation. So we then get to next clip, which is David going to apologize to Michelle at Thomas's birthday. And Michelle was like, I think he did that just to check off a box and to kind of make himself look like the good guy. And I 1,000% agree. Because David, you could have did this a long time ago. But you sat in Michelle's face and you were very apathetic and you were rude to her whenever the conversation came about this entire infidelity situation you had going on with Madison. You were very rude to her about it. You didn't want to give her an apology. You were defensive, you were combative for literally no reason. Literally no reason. So Keisha's like, and then the commentary before he even walked over, it just kind of undermined the apology, which he did. I don't know if David forgot he was mic'd up or what. But David, when Michelle found out, when everything came to a head at the couples retreat, that day, that night, you could have went and talked to Michelle and said, look, I'm sorry, whatever the case, you don't deserve this, but I feel for Madison. This could have been handled a complete different way. But David, you didn't do that. You didn't do that. You were rude to her when she was like, "Do you have anything you want to tell me?" When y'all were at the top of the stairs. You could have talked to her and said this then if you truly meant it. You didn't want to do that though. When y'all met with the experts, you were rude to her. You were defensive. You were combative. You tried to blame her instead of you just saying this portion to her then. You had ample opportunity to say this to her and actually mean it. David did it because I think David was like, damn, I probably look crazy with what I've been doing, but it's too late now. It's too late. So Michelle said that she does wish that she would have been more open minded because she does not think that David is a bad guy, but she wishes that she would have tried to enjoy him more as a friend. Take that, wrap it up, and can deliver it to your therapist when you go, Michelle. Okay. So we get, excuse me, we get to part two. So now we have Thomas, Emem, and Brad is still out there. I said, look at Thomas with the Jordans on. Thomas been wearing Jordans every time we see him. I said, look at Thug Life. I see you. I see you. I was gonna get them, but I left them on the shelf. I was gonna get them, no Thomas. So MM said that she is happy and she is still engaged to Brandon, and she holds up her ring. She said Brandon did well for himself. So the first clip that we see in this portion is MM on that first date with Brandon. MM said that this engagement feels different because I don't remember. MM is the one that has been engaged before, right? Right? Ikechi was her only marriage, but she has been engaged before, if I remember correctly. So she said this feels different with Brandon because he loves her and he's her support system. And I can be vulnerable with him and I can feel his love. I am his light at the end of the tunnel. I am that for him. I can tell. I mean, I know that he hasn't contacted me in all these years, and he probably found out that I'm filming a TV show, but I feel loved. And I said, you know what, MM, if this is what you want to do, sis, this is what you want to do, so be it. So be it. So Brad then tells her, look, keep in mind that you are both coming off of divorces. Just be careful not to take the baggage from both of your marriages into this. And Keisha and Brad talk about how they were both married before. We remember Keisha Rudy's like very public divorce from her first husband. Well, I do, at least. So they were like, for them, they had to really do some work on their marriage to make sure that they showed up in a way for each other that didn't involve like making your next pay for the sins of your ex. So Thomas then said that he knew that he wanted to say yes to Camille because or he knew that he wanted to try at the process because he knew that going through this process, you don't get to build the person that you want, right? You are presented with the person that on paper is a good match for you, and you have to work at it, and you have to put in the effort, and you have to commit to that person. There's going to be bumps and bruises along the way, but at the end of the day, he knew that he didn't want to give up on this because he signed up for the show for a reason. So he said that him and Camille both had smaller places. He has the one bedroom. She has the studio apartment. Y'all corrected me. Thank you for that in the comments. And so they're looking at getting a bigger place together so they can have some more space because Thomas's apartment is small. It looks like an efficiency. It's small. It's not big enough. It's not conducive for two people. So we then see the clip of MM getting proposed to the first time in the sketch restaurant. So MM said, look, her intention was to take it slow, but she knows how he makes her feel. So after the two conversations, one being, or excuse me, this would be the third, she knows how he makes her feel. And to her, this is love at first sight. Now, I thought that y'all went to middle school together. So what is it? Is it love at first sight, or is it that y'all went to middle school together and y'all had, I don't know, phonics or something class together? This I the story is not storying MM. I just gotta be real with you. The story is not storying, okay? So Keisha then said, look, you don't know him? And MM was like, no, I don't know him. I know as much about him as we have discussed. That is so dangerous, MM. But I can't I can't. MM. Because I mean, what's the point, right? You can't hear me. You're gonna do whatever it is that you want to do. So Keisha then asked how long is the engagement gonna be? And MM said it's gonna be as long as it takes for them to get a divorce. So according to MM, as soon as both of their divorces are settled, they are going to go get Mary. She told her mother was confused, obviously, but her mother had a lot of questions. And after her mother met Brandon, her mother fell in love with Brandon and she's excited about the upcoming nuptials. Something tells me that that is not true. And I'm only saying that because your mother didn't even want to come on this show for you to marry this stranger. Why are we supposed to believe that your mother is going to I just okay. Thomas said it was easy for him to say yes to Camille on decision day because she makes him happy. And the one thing that like the one thing that he wanted to hone in on was happiness. She makes him happy, so it was a no-brainer. Kudos to them. We finally discussed the clip of Emem wanting to apologize to Ikechi at Thomas's birthday. And Keisha's like, why did you bother that man? You know he don't want to talk to you. And that's how I feel. Emem said that she was taking advantage of the opportunity to kind of set some things straight with him because she's not a malicious person. And I'm like, it doesn't, I don't think anybody thinks you're malicious, but it comes across as petty. Now, I can be petty boots, okay? Petty LaBelle up in this piece. That doesn't bother me. However, I'm not saying that it came across as malicious, but you definitely did it to sting him, though. You did it to sting him because you knew that he wasn't going to converse with you. You knew he wasn't going to really acknowledge you. So you wanted to have the conversation and then to do it out loud like that in front of everybody. You did that to have a moment in him. I don't think that that apology was any more for Ikechi as David's was for Michelle. Y'all both, you and David, did that to try to have a TV moment and it fell flat. For me, at least, it fell flat. So Thomas was like, well, this was her only opportunity to say her piece. And it wasn't because y'all still have the reunion to come. Y'all still have the reunion. And you could have honestly done it at the reunion in a more proper venue, but so shall it be. Thomas said that if he had to do things any differently, he would lay off the corny jokes because they didn't land, they didn't fly. Remember, Camille didn't like him. She said he was very swagless because, he because he didn't wear Jordan. But MM said that if she can do anything over, she would redo her decision day. And she feels that way because she would not have been so harsh with the read. She would have been a little softer and just kind of bowed out a little gracefully. And I kind of wish you would have too, MM. But I'm all for, like I said, I'm all for being petty. I don't mind the decision day read that she gave him. I thought that was cool. I didn't mind that. It's petty, but I didn't mind it. But this last conversation, coupled with the fact that you clearly sent your new fiance over to try to get underneath Ikeshi's skin, I don't know. Emem said that what she did on decision day came from a place of hurt. And yeah, we understand that. But Emem, even now when you talk about it, you still seem hurt. You still seem triggered. So, but let me know what you guys thought about the after party. I know I skipped some scenes. I didn't care about them. If you guys want to discuss them, put them down in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel, thumbs up the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.